Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Williford, and today I will be speaking to you about an issue that I consider to be very close and dear to my heart. Um, back in 2007, decided to start a nonprofit organization called Gift of Love. The purpose of Gift of Love was to give back to the urban community. When I say give back to the urban community, my main focus was to help children who needed additional assistance because they may have come from a single parent background or for whatever reason are being raised by their grandparents or a guardian forever reason. And most of the times it was because, there was the other parent who may have been on drugs or both parents were on drugs, which caused them to live with their grandparents or their guardians. This was something that was very dear to me because I grew up in a two-parent household up until the age of 10. At the age of 10 is when I realized that my household would no longer be a two-parent household because my father's drug addiction overcame him and got the best of our family. I'm going to start off with a little story. That way it gives you a background of why I started Gift of Love. Uh, 10th grade, I'm not 10th grade, I'm sorry. I was 10 years old and it was my 5th grade graduation. Very excited, what child wouldn't be. Um, but the morning of it, my father came and said, unfortunately, I have to work, so I won't be able to attend your graduation, but I promise you when I come home from work that we'll spend time with each other. I'm going to take you and your sisters and your mom out. So, it was fine with me. Like, okay, I'm a daddy's little girl, so that didn't really affect me. How I knew my life was coming and changing was the day of my graduation. Went out, me and my mom, my sisters, my aunt, and when we came back home to my house, it wasn't uncommon for me. I always like to play by myself, so I would go upstairs and I closed my door, jumped in my bed, and I had this big old um, Papa Smurf teddy bear, and you know, you can feel someone that's behind you. And in my closet, there wasn't a door, but it was a closet for me and my sister, my older sister, to hang our clothes up in. And I felt something moving in the back of it. Uh, so I turned around and I couldn't stop screaming. And I couldn't stop screaming. My mom's like, stop it, stop playing so much. Tell your sister to stop it. But when she realized that I wasn't stopped, I couldn't stop myself from screaming. She came upstairs, and when I turned around, my dad was coming towards me saying, don't scream, don't cry, it's your dad. And when he got up from out the closet with the sheet over him, he had a needle in his arm. Like, why would you really get high in my room of all places? I don't know, not very bright on his part. But moving forward, our lives changed that day. And it just changed. My dad went from working for the government to being what they call a dope fiend. My mom went from being a house mom to having to, apply for welfare. And it was hard because, my mom, she tried her best. But in middle school, kids were cruel. And I would have to say they just, not they, but one child starts it, they're all going to start it. And this one young lady, I remember her name to a T. I'm not going to give her last name, but her first name was Monique. And she teased and taunted me because I didn't have or couldn't afford the latest outfits that they wore. And it was hard. So it got to the point where she would say, oh, she's not clean, she smells, look at her, look how she dresses, she must live in a shelter. But that moment made me realize I never wanted another child to have to go through what I went through in middle school. So, good thing is high school was totally different because situations changed, of course. But because of my things that I went through in middle school, it just occurred to me that I wanted to help with kids. So what I did was I started this um, nonprofit organization called Gift of Love, and I decided to give back to the community. And I wrote out memos and surveys, put them in communities such as churches, recreational centers, and masjids that were around our neighborhood, and just inquire what people needed. When I found out what they needed, at the time, I was able to give them coats, hats, and anything that they needed, personal little gift cards that allowed them to go to Walmart and buy their personal needs, so people wouldn't say they smelled, and people, they can feel a little bit better about themselves. So the method behind my story is, if you can give back to the community, if you see someone that is less fortunate than you are, give back. It does not have to be, of course, to anybody's um, nonprofit organization. It can be something that you do out of the kindness of your heart. The key focus in this speech is to give back. If you do nothing else but take time out and go and maybe mentor a child, show them that there is a way out of what they may consider the end of the rope. Just give back. You'd be surprised how, finding out, as you see a child walking in the street in their coat, you'll be surprised how, if you give to them, they'll remember that years to come, and that could be the turning point in their life. So, I hope I didn't give you guys too much, but I do just wholeheartedly believe that giving starts within yourself, and if you can give back and change someone's outlook of how their society may be, you could change that child's way of life. You can change the way that child feels about themselves. You can change the way that child just acts. So find the nearest neighborhood recreational center, find your church, find the school, and find out if there's any child that may need something. And if it is, and if you can afford to, it doesn't have to be something big, do it. Get a gift card. That way they can buy their personal items, deodorants, t-shirts, underwear. You never know what a person's situation is at home until you talk to them. So today, your classmate, Leslie Williford, is saying, give back. There's nothing wrong with it. It'll make you feel so much better about yourself, and you're helping others. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.